So President Trump reopened the government on Friday, and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are claiming victory. So this is round one. Who are the winners, Trump or the Democrats? We'll talk about it and we'll let you decide. Also this weekend, Kamala Harris has announced for President of the United States on the Democrat side. And if you like Venezuela, if you like how that country's going, you definitely want to vote for her. Plus, we'll look at the movie Glass. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
God bless the United States of America.
All right, folks, I want to thank you for tuning into the show. This is episode 10. We've gotten off to a great start. I'd like to encourage you to subscribe and also check us out on social media. We really like the way things are going, and I really appreciate you tuning in. So let's jump into the show. All right, so for 35 days, the government has been shut down, and on Friday, President Trump said, okay, we're going to open the government. We're going to pay these workers, even though, in case you haven't followed, there were resolutions and proposals in the House and in the Congress to pay the workers, even during the shutdown, and the Democrats rejected those. So now President Trump has reopened the government for 3 weeks to give these workers a chance to get paid. And here's some of the reaction on both sides of the aisle. First of all, you have Congresswoman Bass, who tweeted this: Speaker Pelosi should give the State of the Union, since she's obviously the one running the country. And that was a typical reaction on the Democrat side. But even on the Republican, on the conservative side, you saw some reactions of shock or disbelief, or just not knowing what the next phase of this negotiation, the showdown is. And here's one from Eric Erickson, who tweeted this: I've been writing for weeks that if Trump caved without a border wall, he'd be giving Pelosi a win and conceding defeat. He'll look weak to his base. The public vote of confidence from supporters right now is not necessarily their private sentiment. And others have expressed this too. And Trump is, again, I've got a theory on what's going on. I've got my take on it. But here's a recent tweet just showing that he's continuing to go to the American people and telling them how bad the crisis is at the border. Check out this new tweet from President Trump that he did yesterday. We are not even into February, and the cost of illegal immigration so far this year is $18 billion. Cost Friday was $603 million. There are at least 25 million illegal aliens, not the 11 million that have been reported for years in our country. So ridiculous. So he's laying it out right there, the cost of illegal immigration. And we've shown on previous shows how border walls absolutely do work. But what's the end game? What's going to happen here? There's a couple things to look at. First of all, I think there is a potential, and hopefully this is what Trump is thinking, and hopefully this is the plan his advisors have him going down, the road he's going down. But there is a big win possibly for Trump if he sticks to his guns. So far, the Democrats have all come out in the past, many of them, saying that they support border walls, that border walls work. Even this past week, Steny Hoyer, the number 2 Democrat in the House, has been favorable to border walls. So there are cracks in the Democrats' base right there of support that he could tap into. Secondly, Trump has already offered concessions during the shutdown. He offered a 3-year extension on DACA. He offered a 3-year extension on temporary protected status. These are some of the things the Democrats wanted in their so-called negotiation. So what I think is happening here is that Trump has set himself up to take his message to the American people. He offered proposals during the shutdown. Now he's reopened government, so if they can get the scheduling worked out, he has a chance to give the State of the Union and take the message to the American people saying, hey, there's only one side that is actually negotiating here, and that's the Republican side. We need the border wall. In comments made shortly after Trump opened the government, Chuck Schumer said, we got what we wanted, and what we've wanted all along is to open the government, and then we will negotiate. Okay, well, so now Trump has opened a 3-week window to show the American people, are the Democrats serious about negotiating? Trump has compromised on DACA. He's compromised on TPS. So now at the end of this, there's a chance to take the message to the American people saying negotiation is a two-sided approach. You need both sides to give and gain for anything to go forward. And Trump is the only one who's doing that. So after 3 weeks, if the Democrats again refuse to negotiate, he's got more bargaining power. He showed that he's willing to shut down the government. And he has the last resort, which is being able to use executive authority to build the border wall. Now, some senators like Roy Blunt in Missouri and Marco Rubio in Florida have already come out and said they don't want that. No one really wants that approach. But there's no point in addressing immigration reform or border security if you don't have a wall. It's just like a leaking boat that continues to leak. You can bail out the water, but it's still going to sink. There's just no doubt about it. So he has to stand strong. Another interesting, I wanted to bring up some facts and figures. Someone pointed out, a good friend of mine, that non-essential government employees that have been furloughed 30 days or more in a given year can be let go. They can be fired legally because they're that non-essential. And this shutdown happened to go 35 days, which means that these 800,000 employees can be let go by President Trump if he wanted to. Now, for conservatives that believe that the government is too big, that it's too powerful, that it's too wasteful, this is part of our core belief that we need to trim down the government. Now, if he were to get rid of, just to give you a perspective, give you some numbers, if he were to get rid of all 800,000 at, say, an average of $75,000 a year, and we can adjust those numbers, you can do the math, that would be $60 billion saved just by getting rid of federal employees that have been deemed non-essential. And Trump only wants $5.7 billion for his wall. Now, say that 800,000, say 400,000 of them will deem super non-essential. They really could go. All right, that's $30 billion right there that we could fund for border security, for the wall, and a whole lot of other things just by trimming down the size of the federal government. In fact, out of those 800,000 non-essential going down to 400,000 super non-essential, all you need is 76,000 super non-essential employees, and you'd get Trump's $5.7 billion. So is there any coincidence that it went 35 days? I don't know. But it just shows you that if we were serious about trimming the size of the federal government, we could get the border wall funded just like that. And I think the other thing that Trump has leverage on, again, I mentioned it several weeks ago, is that the unions, the federal unions that these workers belong to, they are going to put pressure on the Democrats. They do not want to have paychecks withheld again, and that's a good bargaining tool for President Trump. Also, I want to touch on Kamala Harris, who announced for president, and I just wanted to show you a little bit of what her platform is. It's nothing remarkable, but it just opens my eyes that people would actually go for this. Take a look at this clip.
I am running to declare once and for all that health care is a fundamental right. And we will deliver that right with Medicare for all.
All right, so there you have it. She's calling for health care for all, but she's not done. Here's another one.
I am running to declare education is a fundamental right. And we will guarantee that right with universal pre-K and debt-free college.
So now she wants education for all. And what's funny is, as she continued in her speech, she said that she would only deal with honesty and integrity and treating people fairly with decency. And that's the part actually beyond her policies, which, again, just take a look at Venezuela with healthcare for all and education for all and wealth redistribution. That's what she wants. And look what you get in Venezuela. But as far as treating people with integrity and decency, ask Brett Kavanaugh how he felt during the Senate confirmation hearings, or Brian Bisher last month, who was questioned by her on his Catholic faith, and grilled because he was a member of the Knights of Columbus. That's Kamala Harris. That's the one who says she wants to deal with people honestly and with integrity and decency. But she's just one of many. Here's a quick chart on the people that have announced or looking to announce for president so far on the Democrat side. Let's just go through the list real quick. You've got Julian Castro, former HUD secretary. You've got Tulsi Gabbard from Hawaii, a representative. You've got John Delaney, a former rep. You've got businessman Andrew Yang. And then, of course, Kirsten Gillibrand, Elizabeth Warren, and the South Bend mayor from Indiana, who, again, everybody is going to jump into the mix. And it's just a situation where they're offering all the same. No one has anything different than Medicare for all, education for all, redistribution of wealth, socialist policies that are going to drive this economy right down the drain. And that's your choices right there. So now let's get to a lighter note. We're so packed last week that we didn't get a chance to do our Movie Monday. And so I really wanted to talk about it today. And for today on Movie Monday, we're going to look at Glass. All right, so this movie is really interesting because it only received a 36% critics rating on Rotten Tomatoes, but it is so much better than that. If you guys like M. Night Shyamalan movies, you're going to love this one, especially if you followed the series. Now, this is a third part from the movies Unbreakable and Split, and so I really recommend that you see those. And you have to approach the movie in an M. Night Shyamalan kind of manner. Like some people will say, if you're familiar with Christopher Nolan movies, that you have to be ready to think if you want to go into one of those movies. Well, for Shyamalan movies, you have to be ready to feel. And he always in his movies touches on things like love and hope and faith and things like that. In this movie in particular, it's about doubt and belief. And when you really let those feelings sink in and see what these characters are going through the course of the movie, it's very powerful. It's just really excellent. Here's a quick clip of the movie.
This is not a cartoon. This is the real world.
No way.
And yet, some of us still don't die with bullets. Some of us can still bend steel.
So we've got a great cast. You know, we've got Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson. James McAvoy as the Horde, as you'll find out in the movie, is a split personality, dual personality disorder. And he goes through at least over 20 different characters. And it is just absolutely outstanding. The movie's well shot. And it's thrilling to watch the interactions and see how these people deal with doubt and deal with belief. I'd give it about, the audience score is about 77. I say that's about right, maybe about an 82, but I definitely go see it. It's got a really great message of belief, and I think you'll really enjoy it. So that's all for today, folks. I encourage you to please subscribe. Please check out our playlist for past episodes of 13 Minute News Hour in case you missed anything. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13 Minute News Hour.